Welcome back to Marketing Unzipped, a show where we pull apart the tangled threads of modern marketing and weave them back into something that actually makes sense. And now, if you've been following the news in tech, even loosely, you've probably heard a lot of noise around Google's latest event. I'm talking about Google I/O 2025. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Another Silicon Valley keynote, just like Apple, another set of updates that sound shiny but don't really affect how we actually do our jobs. And that used to be true, but this time it feels different because this wasn't just about them releasing new Pixel features on their devices, new laptop experiences, or AI demos. This year, Google made one thing crystal clear. Artificial intelligence is no longer an add-on. They want it to become the foundation. From the way we search, to the way we shop, to the way we create content, it's all changing. And their plan is to do it quickly. To be honest, there were lots of announcements, over 100 different updates, depending on how you count them. But what really stood out from a marketer's perspective wasn't just the tech, it was the pattern, the direction things were heading, and what it means for how we show up in front of our customers. So let me give you a little taste. Google Search, it's not just about finding results, it's answering for users before they even click anything. Google Search is no longer about finding results. It's answering for users before they ever click anything. You don't need to visit a website anymore. The AI tells you what you need to know right there in the search results. Then you've got new tools like Veo and Imagen that let you generate full-blown video ads and product images just by typing a few lines of text. No cameras, shoots, design teams, just AI and vision. And then to me, the most subtle shift, but maybe the most powerful, is how AI is collapsing that traditional sales and marketing funnel. People are going from interest to decision almost instantly. And marketers were often not even in the room when that happens. So I'm not going to recap every detail of the keynote. If you want a full breakdown, Google have released their own blog that has all of this covered. But I want to zero in on 3 developments that every marketer needs to understand right now. They're not gimmicks, they're not coming soon, they're happening. And if we ignore them, we'll be building strategies for customer who no longer exists. So in my little world, let's start with the biggest shift of all, search. We talk about Google Search updates all the time. Core updates, algorithm tweaks, helpful content rollout. It's just part of the job. But this one, it feels not quite an update, but more the beginning of a rewrite. Google has officially started rolling out what it's calling AI overviews. And that basically means the blue links. The ones we spent years trying to rank for, they're not the star of the show anymore. Now, when you search for something, Google doesn't just show you a list of websites. It gives you a summary, maybe even a full answer pulled together by AI. Based on what it thinks you need, and it does this before showing a single organic result. Sometimes it can quote sources, sometimes it doesn't, but either way, your content is no longer being found. It's being filtered, interpreted, and presented back by a machine that decides whether your website is even worth mentioning. And that's quite a scary thought, because for so long, SEO has been about visibility, getting on the first page, get the clicks, get the conversions. But now you might be ranking number 1 and still not be seen because the AI answered for you. It's a shift from the destination to being a source, and not even a guaranteed one. And what makes this even trickier is that users love it. It's fast, it's clear, it saves them time. So this isn't going to go away. So where does that leave us? So first, we need to stop thinking purely in terms of rankings. The new game is answer engine optimization. It's not just about being relevant anymore. It's about being quotable, being clear, being structured, being the kind of content the AI trusts enough to feature in its response. That means things like type, direct answers to common questions, not long, meandering posts padded out with fluff, structured data and schema markup, because if Google's going to scan your content and pull bits into an overview, you'd better make it an easy read. And maybe more importantly, writing with a tone of authority and clarity. Not just good old keyword stuffed SEO copy, but something that sounds like an expert explaining everything in simple terms. And here's the twist most people aren't thinking about yet. If Google's AI starts doing the answering and users stop clicking, the experience of your brand becomes before they even land on your website. It starts with the AI summary, which means your voice, your value, your position all need to be felt even when someone doesn't visit your page. But that's a very different kind of strategy. And I'll be honest, it's one that a lot of businesses aren't ready for. But the good news is Google is giving us some tools to adapt, tools to let the scale, experiment, and create content in ways that would have been impossible a year ago. And that's where we're heading next. Because content creation has always been the bottleneck. You've got the strategy, the ideas, maybe even the data, but then it hits the wall, getting it filmed, edited, designed, written, signed off. It's expensive. It's really slow. And it often means you settle for what's good enough just to hit the deadline. That's where Veo and Imagen come in. So let's take a quick look at Veo. It's Google's new AI video model. At first glance, it sounds like something out of Star Trek. Type a short prompt and it creates a full high-quality video. We're not talking animated cartoons or gimmicky clips. We're talking about realistic cinematic shots. Things like aerial drone footage, time lapses, even camera movements that mimic professional production. You type in something like a close-up of an iced coffee on a hot summer morning, slow motion, cinematic lighting, and it gives you that scene. No camera, no crew, no editing suite. Now imagine using that for your product launch, your brand story, even your paid ads. You could spin up to 5, 10, 20 creative variations without touching a single piece of kit. And then there's Imagen for the image side of this. It works in the same way, but for photography. You design and you describe what you want. It gives you the visuals that are sharp, detailed, and most importantly, on brand. Things like product mock-ups, event promos, backgrounds for socials, whatever you need on demand. And this changes the role of marketers. You're not just briefing creative anymore. You're creating it instantly. You become the art director, the writer, the editor. But instead of needing 3 weeks in the humongous budgets, you just need a few lines and an idea. I just want to be really, really clear. This isn't about replacing your designer or ditching your agency. It's about getting to the first draft faster. It's about testing 5 ad concepts before you commit to one. It's about giving smaller teams the kind of creative firepower that used to be reserved for just those big budget brands. It's about giving smaller teams the kind of creative firepower that used to be reserved for just the big budget brands. But the really powerful bit of this is you can now create content tailored to where your audience is in the journey. Want a polished product walkthrough for someone comparing options? Done. Need a short, thumb-stopping hook for someone scrolling Instagram? No problem. Want a version of the same ad in 5 different styles or 5 different languages? Sorted. You're not just producing content faster, you're producing content that fits the context. That's the key. Because Google starts reshaping how people discover and decide, your ability to react, to shift creative, tweak messaging, test visuals becomes your advantage. Not just a nice to have, but a requirement. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the way people are now shopping. Because we've all been trained to think in funnels as marketers, awareness at the top, consideration in the middle, conversion at the bottom. Build content for each stage, nurture the lead, guide them down step by step. While Google's goal is to quietly blow that model up, because what they showed at I.O. is the funnel isn't being followed, it's being skipped, compressed, and collapsed. And AI is now mediating the process, and it's doing it quite fast. So a quick example, imagine someone searching for a new pair of running shoes. In the old world, they'd Google it, browse a few blog reviews, maybe click into some product pages, check out pricing, look at a few videos, and finally make a decision. Now, that same person gets an AI-generated summary in search results, complete the side-by-side comparisons, feature highlights, even style recommendations, all without clicking a thing. If they're curious, they can see the shoes in 3D, they can virtually try them on, they can ask a follow-up question like, are these good for flat feet? And get an answer instantly. That's no longer a journey, just a moment, one decision. And here's the kicker. If your product or your brand isn't in that AI-generated moment, you're not even in the race. So this changes how we think about product marketing completely. It's not just about optimizing your website for ads. It's about feeding the AI the right signals so you show up in that conversation. That means your product needs to be immaculate, detailed, structured, for all of the kinds of data that machines can read, not just people. We're talking the rich descriptions with the right attributes, the materials, sizing, specifications, the high quality images and videos that play well across Google surfaces. Accurate pricing and stock levels so Google knows what to recommend and when. If it's out of stock, they don't want to recommend it. What's the point for their end user? It doesn't stop there though. Reviews, star ratings, FAQs, comparisons. Those aren't just social proof anymore. They're training data for Google's AI. The more structured and complete your product data is, the more likely it is that Google includes you in these high converting summaries. And in the world where the funnel is disappearing, that's everything. But there's a bigger mindset shift here too. If someone makes their decision before they even hit your website, your site is no longer the primary marketing and sales tool. The sales pitch is happening in the search engines, in the SERPs, in the AI's words, in that one moment. So your role as marketer becomes less about controlling the journey and more about influencing the machine that guides it. And that might sound a bit scary, but for me, it's actually a bit freeing because it means we can stop trying to build 10-step journeys and start building high-impact moments, moments of clarity, moments of confidence, moments of decision. And once you start to think that way, once you start designing content and data for the moment, not the path, everything clicks. So where does this all leave us? Because if you've been in marketing for any length of time, you'll know change is nothing new. We adapt, we learn, we move. But this shift we're seeing, it's deeper because it's not just a new channel or a new format. It's a new interface between your business and your customer. AI is now the middleman, the explainer, the curator, sometimes even the decider. So what do we need to do? Here are 3 places I'd start. It's not a checklist because we have to go through so much learning over the coming months and time as this gets rolled out, as it's being rolled out first in the US, and obviously we'll see it over here in the UK in the coming months. But this is about as the mindset shifts into building your day-to-day. First, you want to treat your website like a training set. Everything you publish needs to be clean, structured, and readable by machines. Think FAQs, think product specs, think schema markup. It's not just for the Google's crawler anymore. It's for the AI that answers your customers directly. Secondly, you start using AI to create faster, but definitely not cheaper. Veo and Imagen aren't shortcuts, they're accelerators. Use them to get your ideas quicker, to test, to experiment, to break out of the one-size-fits-all creative. Because if customers are making decisions faster, your content needs to keep up. And third, design for the moment, not the journey. If Google is collapsing this funnel, your job isn't to rebuild it, it's to show up in those micro moments with clarity, credibility, and context. Whether that's a quote in an AI summary, a 3D product preview, or a lightning fast comparison that tips the scales in your favor. Be there and please be ready. And above all, stay curious. The landscape is shifting so fast, but it's also opening up, which excites me so much running the Pursuit agency because we're not a huge team. It's not infinite budgets with all our clients, but it gives us access to tools we could only dream about a few years ago. So you don't have to wait to have it all figured out. Just start optimizing, start testing, start creating. Because the brands that learn by doing, they're the ones who will still be visible in a world where visibility is no longer guaranteed. And that's it for an episode of Marketing Unzipped. If this gave you a few new angles to think about or made you slightly panic and then feel excited again, share it with someone in your team, or better yet, sit down together and rework a single page on your site through the lens of AI first discovery. Start small, but start now. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep asking better questions, keep testing better ideas, and never stop adapting to the way real people and increasingly real machines find and engage with your brand. Until next time.